This here is the Fujifilm GFX100RF, and in my last video I went out during the daytime to go and capture some beautiful photos in Prague. Now, one of the highlights that people mentioned, one of the things that they were worried about or concerned about, is what's the low light performance like. So I've gone out in the nighttime to test that out. I think it's good. Is it good enough? I think yes. I think most people are going to buy this to go and photograph in good conditions, great lighting, good conditions. I think that's who this is aimed at. It's an f4 lens. I'm not going to shy away from that. The light coming into it is going to be difficult. For example, this is 1.4, so there's more stops of light going natively into that sensor to allow more light into the photos you're trying to take. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad. Of course it's not. It's actually a fantastic camera and you can still utilize it and use it at nighttime. I just don't know in what situation professionally you'd be doing that unless you can work with light properly. Now, if you can work with light properly, then you're going to be using this to its full potential. And going out in low light situations isn't going to worry you regardless of what camera system you're using because you know how to adapt to light. I'm not saying that I'm an expert in that situation. I'm not saying that I'm a pro in low light, not even close. But I'm going to go out and see what I can do with this camera. I've taken low light photos in the past with f4s, f5.6s, iPhone 4s, you know, phone cameras. It's doable. Of course, it's doable. But are they good? Hopefully, in this video, you can come to that conclusion yourself. And by the end of it, maybe I will too. So stick around to the end and I'll talk about some of the things that are obviously limitations, but also some of the things I enjoyed. Let's get into it. So there's a photo that I really want to get here. So the trams go through this little opening here. I mean, it's going to be hard to get, even in the daytime. But this is a very extreme shot. It's very dark in this corner. So it's an extreme example of what I'm getting at. And also, you can kind of just lean into it. Okay, so this sounds like there's a tram coming. And it is an old one, yes, okay. So I'm gonna stay back because he might not go through. So basically, once it goes through, I'm gonna jump behind it. It's very dark here, as you can see, even my Sony is pushed to 12,800. As he goes through, I'm gonna jump behind it. That's sick. Madness. Okay, jump behind it. Okay, let's see how that looks. And maybe I might have got that in one. It's okay. Okay, there's another one. Okay, I get a second chance. So I'm at 51,000 ISO on this camera, which obviously is insane. Like, that's crazy. For any camera, not just this one. And I'm at 250 of a second. As it goes through, I'm gonna jump behind like I did on the last one. Oh, that looks so sick. Let's get another one. Make sure no one's coming. And I can kind of just get it going down the end there. Like so. That actually looks mega. If I'm quick enough, I'm going to try and get a panning shot of this old style tram going through. So I can go to like 30 of a second, obviously bring the ISO down, so I'm exposing for the inside of the tram. I'm going to follow it as it goes through. So let's aim for this person here. So we've got an older style tram coming in. We'll get one kind of like a panning photo as it comes into a stop, but then we'll also get maybe a side profile of this lady here. Whenever I'm taking photos, I always have a quick review to see if they're nice, and that's really nice, like shooting through the bus that passed in front of us. That was at 125th of a second, f4 ISO 5000. So I'm really liking this mist, fog, smoke coming from this restaurant down here. However, I kind of need someone to be in that frame to get the shot that I want, but just as a reference, I'm going to show you what the fog, well, the smoke steam looks like. So I've just gone the other side and it looks really nice with like the people walking through and the fog. Oh, that looks so sick. That's really cool. So I'm at 30 per second, f4 ISO 4000, and I'm aiming at the start of is it Charles Bridge, I think it's called. And we'll get one like this as well. So with still frames like this, you don't need to have like your shutter super quick. You know, like 125th obviously requires a higher ISO. At 80th a second, I can have a lower ISO and have less noise in the image. And this is just to show that even though this camera doesn't have IBIS and it is nighttime, I can hold it at 80th of a second and still get a clean photo. Everyone's walking down to the train, so I'm thinking I'm going to go down there and get some shots of people going in and out of the train station, train station. I think if I kind of squeeze through this bit, and then I use this. Obviously, when I turn the camera into portrait, I'm mostly focusing on the raw file there, where I'm going to be getting the full portrait sensor, and then when it's vertical, well, when it's horizontal like this, I'm obviously getting the 17:6 aspect ratio. Now, obviously, you would be doing this with two hands. I'm doing it with one so I can hold the other camera while getting the photo. I'm at f4, 125th of a second. I'm just getting some people walking through the frame. So we've got the tram outside. I will get a tram shot in a minute. But I really like this glass. So I'm going to see how I can use the glass with the people on the other side. So tram coming through as well, it's quite nice. I'm at ISO 5000, 125th of a second, f4 of course. We've got that really bright shop in the background, and of course at night time, regardless of the camera, the thing you're looking for is a light source, right? It doesn't matter if you're shooting on something that we deem, or people deem not to be good in low light, whether it's a phone or whatever, you're looking for things to help in those low light situations, which would be obviously light. So there's loads of light here, so this would be a good scenario to be in. For example, in this frame we have this singular light. Well, there's two of them, but if I focus on this singular light, there's going to be a gentleman walking through with his umbrella. I'm still at 125th of a second. Let's go to ISO 5000. We'll see. We could wait for another umbrella, but I'm happy with that photo, and I'm going to be looking for more things like that. So you're just playing around with light. So you're not necessarily trying to get things perfectly, really bright like you would during the day. You're leaning into the available light that you have to be able to take those really nice nighttime shots to tell the story of a city that you're in. For example, this is Prague, but whatever city you're in, you're using that available light to help tell the story of the city. So we have another lovely light on the other side. So over this side you have this light, which would be nice to use. This light here is actually quite nice. If I kind of get down, I can maybe silhouette maybe a few people with like umbrellas and stuff going through the frame. Because it's not raining, but it's moist, as you can see on the floor. If I can get these two ladies like standing next to each other, this will look quite nice. So these shots are very much just showcasing the ability to use this in low light. Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice to have a faster lens. Of course, it'd be lovely to have like an f1.7 or an f2 on the front of this camera. But the reality is, we don't. And can we still use it at nighttime? Yes. And I think that's the thing I'm just trying to point out, that sometimes we get caught up on specs, we get caught up on what we want from a camera. Instead, you can still go out and get some incredible photos. And the noise from the GFX sensor, the medium format sensor that's also in the GFX100RF is actually a very, very good sensor, and it does cope with noise very well, which I'm hoping I can highlight in this video. I'm not going to shy away from the difficulty, actually not even the difficulty, the understanding of where some of the comments in my previous video are coming from. Some of the reservations some of you are having about this camera. Oh, it doesn't have IBIS, it doesn't do low light performance because it shoots an f4, so therefore you have to bump up the ISO and reduce the shutter, make the shutter what? Honestly, it depends on who the camera is aimed at. And that goes camera to camera, whether that's this, which is the A7R5, this, which is the A7 IV, this, which is the GFX100RF, or this, a Hasselblad X2D, right? All these cameras are aimed at different people. I think we can agree on that, right? This is aimed, I think, and I believe, they haven't told me this, but I think and I believe that this camera is aimed at people that want to use it professionally as a second camera. So let's say, hypothetically, you have a GFX100 II, let's just say that, and you want to go out and get some scenario photos of, let's say, some location scouts or things or pieces you're going to use in images or sets that you're going to be putting forward to a client professionally. You don't want to lug around that huge GFX body with all the lenses. It gets heavy, it gets cumbersome, right? This fixes that problem. That suits that professional photographer. Let's say, as another hypothetical, I want to go out and shoot with the A7R5, but I don't need to take it with me, let's say on a specific car photography launch or a car shoot that I'm going to go and shoot specifically for social media or for their internal shots, which happens. Do I need to take the A7R5 or will this be enough? Currently driving around Europe, photographing a Bentley Continental GT for Bentley Motors. And I've been using this as well, which is the Hasselblad X2D. It's got a 55mm on the front, which is lovely. So between the two of them, I've got 28mm equivalent, so 35mm on medium format and 55 on medium format on this, which equivalent is 40, I don't know the maths in my head, something. So between these two, with a similar sensor, similar quality, similar expectations, etc., etc., wide, punched in. Amazing combination to be able to capture the high quality professional images that Bentley are expecting. Now, I'm not saying that this camera is going to be for everybody. Of course, it's not designed for everyday consumers. It's designed for pro photographers that require a second camera. So what I would probably recommend is if you're going to go ahead and you're buying systems like, let's say, a Hasselblad or a GFX100 or an A7R5, typically you're going to be buying that gear and then renting it back to the production, right? So you can do the same with this. Professionally, I'm talking about. It works okay in low light. Of course it does. But like my A7R5, I've gone out and I've done street photography at nighttime with this. But the A7 III that I also own is better capable because it has less megapixels, therefore better in low light on the full frame sensor. So why would I use this when I have the other one? Because I want to. And it's about what we as photographers can firstly afford and secondly enjoy using. I love this. Absolutely. It's been on my hip the entire trip and I can capture candid, I can capture professional, I can capture literally everything on the fly with this camera. I don't want to, I don't want to like big it up too much. It's a great camera, but it has its market. And if you're finding fault with it, it's not your market, right? You are not the market for this camera. And that goes for any camera you watch a review for. If you're watching a piece of content and you're like, this doesn't make sense to me, that's because that piece of gear isn't for you. Just keep that in mind when you're watching these reviews. If you want to learn more about this camera and to see if it's right for you, the best thing you can do is when it comes out, go and rent it. Go and rent it for a day. Use it in all situations that you would use it in typically, and then make your decision. It is that simple. All of the photos in today's video were edited in my presets. There's a link in the description if you'd like to go and buy them. They're down below in the description. Otherwise, go and pick up any camera you have available, because that is the best camera you own. That is the best camera for that situation, whatever that is, whatever sensor, whatever lens, whatever f-stop. That's the best thing you can take out with you. Street photography, car photography, just go and have fun. Go and create, professionally or as a hobby. Create more, stress less, and I'll see you in the next one.